How far into wrestling did you start taking the pain pills and stuff?
Got right away.
Right away.
That was right when I went down to OV to Kentucky. I'd hurt my back bad, and I was hearing I was going to be getting called up soon, and I didn't want to miss that. And
So you were taking them before you even got into
every single. Let me be clear. Every single thing with WWE that you see from Matt Morgan on YouTube, I am high.
Wow.
There's not one. Let me finish.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Not one am I not high. Ever.
Wow.
Ever.
Not one.
And I want you to understand that because there's hundreds. Because people have a thing in their head of what that looks like, and they're always wrong. I was a functioning addict, you know? And a functioning addict, you don't know nothing's wrong with them. You can't tell, you know? Yeah.
Were there a lot of guys like that?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And that makes it scarier to determine that you're an addict. I went a full year not thinking it was that bad.
How long do you think you were taking these pills before you got addicted to them? Is that addictive?
Right away. I'm not exaggerating. I would say, Jeff, probably about maybe second week on them.
You had to have them.
Because I increased what I was supposed to take. I shouldn't have done that. You know.
And back then, doctors would just keep writing them to you.
I had.
Like right now, it's hard to if you can't. Doctors won't write that stuff.
Thank God. And it's because of that. Because we would end up taking more than we're supposed to take. Matt Morgan, I'm double the size and weight of what the average guy should be taking.
Right.
Yeah.
That's stupid. And I thought that way, so I doubled it up and went ahead and I felt this floaty feeling one night, and then this super rush of energy. And I was like, this is amazing. Now I see why guys love this stuff.
I see.
And it bit me. But it never made me miss work. I never made my work ethic, if anything, increased because I had all this energy.
So if you take a little bit, it makes you groggy, but if you take a lot of it, it gives you energy?
No, the amount that I was overly abusing would knock your asses out.
Yeah.
Clear as day.
How would it give you energy if it
That's because you're not all addicts.
Right.
Your brains are not going to work that way. That's what makes us addicts, is our brain's not wired the same way yours is. And so when we take things, that's why I tell kids, don't even screw with this stuff to begin with. Don't even try it. I know you hear like, hey, don't try drugs, and you sound like an ABC after school special. That's why I don't say it to it that way.
Because it only took 2 weeks to get you
I
hooked on
talk to them very, very, very sincerely. I run that highlight video of me kicking ass and taking names in the ring, right? Bleeding all over the place, making Ric Flair bleed like a stuffed pig, right? People that they recognize as huge stars. And then when that video's done, I take a little Tylenol pill out of my pocket and I say, what would you do if I told you, kids, that as Billy Badass as that guy looks in the ring, this little thing here made him cry and almost killed me 7 different times. Would you all believe it? You know, that kind of thing.
Wow.
And you get their attention like that. And that's better than the, hey kids, don't do drugs, because the kids they've heard that already. You need to hit them with something that's going to get them at the edges of their seats.
Did you ever see any professional wrestlers, any of them ever OD or die from that?
Oh my God.
Lots of them.
Half of my friends.
Really?
Yeah.
Half of my friends that I wrestled with.
Wow. So you're walking a tightrope there.
Quick question: You were
in
in the WWE when Eddie Guerrero had his heart attack?
Just left and went to New Japan Wrestling at the
Okay,
time.
so Eddie Guerrero died from drug abuse. And, right, it was crazy.
Fell him in on that.
Yeah, so that was a big thing in wrestling at the time. Eddie Guerrero was like one of the big stars on the roster, which I believe he was on the same roster as him, SmackDown. His heart just stopped at a very young age. He was like 42. And then one of his friends lost his mind on drugs. This was the Chris Benoit story, which was obviously the biggest tragedy in wrestling.
So let me jump in on the Chris Benoit story. So I'm actually in rehab.
Yeah.
Getting the help that I needed. Here in Central Florida. Here in Central Florida, I was at a detox clinic, finally getting sober. When that Benoit stuff, I could have sworn it was like right around that time.
Wow.
And I remember when I got out, I was like, oh my God, Larissa, like that could have been me.
Right.
Not going crazy like Chris Benoit did, but another death, again, where the thing that happens here with a lot of these deaths, Jeff, you had, and I'm not going to say which wrestler, how they died, but a lot of older school wrestlers, older than me, they would take, and some from my generation too, they would take all these steroids, right? And then they take these painkillers that would give them that upper feeling that they needed, like I needed, like I was addicted to. Those are the Percocets, Vicodins, and things like that. Okay? But then, once the show's over, how are you going to come down? Well, you need to take some type of sleeping pill and things of that nature, but stronger, that will knock your butt out so you can get some sleep, right? Because you got to get up in 2 hours to get on the plane, next town. Right, so
kind of like what Michael Jackson did for years.
So you're literally, if we're comparing this to a car engine, you're hitting the gas and the brake at the same time with your heart. And what ends up happening is a lot of their hearts seize, just like an engine would. And that's what causes a lot of deaths. You always hear everybody say, "Oh, so and so probably had an enlarged heart, and that's how they die." You don't know that. And it's from hitting the gas and the brake at the same time. These uppers, and then downers, while probably abusing steroids along the way. Not a very good cocktail, not a very good thing for your heart. But that's a lot of things that a lot of guys are willing to do to try to make it. I'm blessed because when they started steroid testing, I was so excited about that because I'm like, now we're going to see who's what. Because for years, I'm like, I'm bigger than this guy, I'm stronger than this guy, and I never screwed with it.
Right.
And so I'm like, I want to see who's who, what's what. Even though it's not a real sport, and I don't think they should have steroid tested, if I'm being honest, because Will Smith, I'm sure, was not steroid tested when he played Muhammad Ali and magically gained 40 to 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying it's for a role.
Right.
Wrestling's the same thing.
Right.
You're not going to get anything more
So
than
they
the guy that doesn't
test
take steroids.
these wrestlers?
Are you kidding
They
me?
do.
Nowadays.
God,
I didn't
yeah.
think they did.
Watch wrestling today, and you'll see the difference.
Oh yeah.
Oh, compared to back then?
Yeah. And I think it's a great thing.
Is The Rock on steroids?
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, dude. The Rock is a cocktail of steroids.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
He looks, yeah.
Dude,
Jacked. How
so-
old is The Rock?
So I don't want to get into. He's 46.
That guy's been
47.
jacked his whole life, though.
So I don't want to get into any people's personal lives, but did you see the 2016 steroid lab raid that Roman Reigns popped off in 2016? And then also Dwayne Johnson and a bunch of other guys on the
Oh, maybe. But
Yeah.
but here's the thing you need to
Yeah.
remember. I don't remember. I wasn't wrestling anymore in 2016, so I'm not really following wrestling news. I will say this, though. There is a rhyme and reason for it. God just didn't throw steroids on the planet for no reason. With a prescription and taken the right way, I think there is a use for it.
Right.
For certain people.
Right.
But I have no idea about that. I mean, honestly, I don't. I'm not reading wrestling news anymore. I'm trying to.
There's a safe way to take steroids, but probably not painkillers.
When it was legal, you could do it with your doctor, because Arnold talked about how he was like on a steroid program with his doctor.
But let me get to the WWE protocol, because WWE's protocol is. I have no reason to say anything nice about them. I'm never going to work there. I have no intention of ever wanting to work there again, so I have no reason to kiss their ass. But they have by far and away the most stringent drug testing program there is. I'm dead serious. And good for them. And you've noticed the style of wrestling has changed because of it.
Right.
Now, to be fair, it would have helped me if it was as strict as it was now back then, because you can't have those painkillers in your system.
Right.
You just can't. You have to have I think it's like X amount of milligrams or something like that, like a normal dosage.
Right.
Not Matt Morgan popping up 60 to 100 milligrams and crushing it all up and chewing it
Man.
every 4 hours.
Wow.
So just to put in perspective, I'd have certain doctors give me 140 pills, 10 milligrams each. I had 3 to 4 doctors doing that.
Man.
And that's not the doctor's fault. That's my fault. That's the addict's fault, dead serious, of working the system. I have a legitimate injury, and these guys were fans. So I'd come in there with a signed 8x10, my figure had just come out at the time. 'Cause as a rookie, I had an action figure. I was very lucky with WWE to have that, a Ruthless Aggression figure. So I had things like that to give them and sign for them. They're like, oh, he must be a big deal. Here, take what you want.
Well, you were a popular wrestler.
But still, even if somebody with an action figure back then was a much bigger deal than it is today.
Right.
So even if the doctor doesn't watch wrestling, he wanted photos for the office that I was, that kind of thing. So I'd find a way to game that as well. Addicts, man, I'm telling you that you won't. I'm very lucky. My rock bottom wasn't like other people's. Very lucky. I didn't lose my wife. I didn't lose a home. and things of that nature.
So-
I almost lost my life 7 times.
Right.
And this is when you want to let your guests speak, because I'm trying to speak about overdosing. It's kind of a serious subject.
You're
brother.
good, man. You're good.
All right. So
Samir's good at interrupting everybody.
I'm just,
so good
I'm
Lord.
trying to ask a question. Okay.
Your fans watch you every day. They hear enough from you.
But I want them to hear enough from you too. So.
All right, so
Go
let's
ahead.
talk about overdosing, because I'm sure your other guests are talking about it. So remember I told you I was a functioning addict, so you couldn't tell anything was wrong with me,
Right.
right? So what would happen though from time to time was I would take so much, I didn't wake up, like 7 different times. We didn't have Narcan that we have today. Narcan is what is all over the place, and it rejuvenates you right away. And they didn't have that back then. So, like, I'm lucky as hell to even be here, to even tell the tale. But 7 different times. I was on a tour in Italy. I was done with WWE. It was in between my run between WWE and TNA. And I'm on tour in Italy. I'm on a tour with Rikishi and some other really big names. I run out of pills for the first time in 5 years. First time.
Wow.
And I'm having withdrawal for the first time. I've never suffered that before, because I just told you every 4 hours, right? I was constantly clocking 60 to 100 milligrams of that stuff, 'cause I never ran out. I ran out of it in Italy. And I started wigging out and started throwing up blood on the bathroom floor. I thought I was going to die. So instead of like saying, okay, I need help, I started banging on other wrestlers' hotel room doors, one by one, saying, hey, do you have any pills? Do you have any pills? Hey, do you have any pills? Because they were all, a lot of them were using too. And just the way they were looking at me, like I could tell I was really bad looking. I was really rough looking. And I'm like, these guys, half of them are addicts, and they're judging me. You know what I mean? They're like looking at me like, and
If they ran out of their pills, they'd look the same way.
But like it made me like I could see my reflection through their reaction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. I now was that dude who was still very young. Like, this is the tale I had heard about the wrestler Mickey Rourke, or the 40-year-old plus wrestler that's long been retired but keeps showing up to the shows and trying to get gimmicks and painkillers from his younger wrestler brethren, right?
Wow.
Like, I felt like that guy at age whatever I was, was I 30 maybe?
Did that do anything?
20,
to
29?
you?
Yes, and embarrassed the
crazy.
hell out of me.
Yeah.
And so I went back to my room, still sick, still puking blood. Asked the operator to patch my wife in on the phone, and told my wife, I'm going to find a way to get off this tour. I don't know how, but I'm going to get off it. And when I get home, you've got to get me help. You've got to find me a dark, dingy, scary place, because I need the bleep scared out of me. I don't know what I need. I just know I need something strict. And I've always responded very well to any type of like disciplined and super high structured situations. And Larissa found me a place. We didn't even get my suitcase. We didn't even pick up my bag before.
When you got back from the airport?
Swear to God, as soon as I landed, that's like a 9-hour flight. So as soon as I got home, as soon as I landed, boom, I was in the car, and she's shipping me to a detox.
Wow.
And we were scared, and because I wasn't sure if it was going to take, would it work, but it obviously did.
So you went in right then and never went back to drugs?
Swear to God.
To
Swear to
those
God.
drugs?
And,
Wow.
yeah, and I got a lot of the help, a lot of the work you do is through outpatient treatment. Once you get out of a detox or once you get out of a rehab program is when they say the real work begins, because now you're on your own. I can go to any corner, get my painkillers right away. I can go to any wrestling fan, get my painkillers right away. More importantly, I can go to any doctor still at the time and get my painkillers right away. So I have this freedom again. How am I gonna mess it up? Am I not? So that's what I was telling you guys earlier about, you create this self-structure, this wall around yourself to not go to certain areas, because the first thing you do, you got to get rid of people, places, and things that reminded you of using.
Yeah.
Problem is, I used everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere like I didn't use because I was feeling bad for myself or I was feeling great about something. I was numbing myself all the time.
Man.
There wasn't a reason behind it. I wasn't sad. I was living my dream. Why would I want to numb that?
Right.
So we have a friend named Judy, and her son was a drug addict, and he was clean for a year. And I met him. There was a function in downtown Longwood. I met him, I think, for the first time.
Overdose Awareness Day. Yep.
Yeah, and he was telling me how he was clean for a year and all this stuff.
He did. He was.
And I was sitting there talking to him with Sheriff Lima was standing right there. And then ultimately something snapped and he went back and overdosed.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that wasn't. And this is the other thing I didn't. Thank God I didn't have to deal with this. And that's the fentanyl stuff that's out there today. So here's this guy did the hard work. He did all the legwork. And am I just saying that? Hey, Jackson.
Yeah, his stuff is laced
hi.
with fentanyl, right, Matt?
Hi.
Hi.
Attaboy. This is Jackson Morgan, everyone. Yeah, no, fentanyl is what kills you. And we didn't have that back when I was getting my painkillers. Thank God. I would have been gone or way earlier.
Yeah. So he only overdosed because the fentanyl was in it.
Because it was laced with that garbage, unbeknownst to him. And that's the problem with this stuff flying over our border the way it does, and people don't make a big enough deal about. Well, our sheriff sure as hell does, but a lot of people don't make enough big of a deal about it, and it's flowing over that border. And I've watched it literally take my friends, not an exaggeration, not of a friend of a buddy of a neighbor, you know what I mean, but family and friends. And I'm like, that's all in my head. I'm like, that's all he took. That was it. They took one pill. And are you kidding me? And that because
It's killed
that's
over
how,
100,000 people in the past.
That's how
year.
strong this stuff is.
Right.
Cops, when they handle that stuff, they have to have these special gloves on, these suits on, these hazmat suits on. It's wild how strong that stuff is.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Shipped over here from China.
You touch
And then,
that stuff
and then the cartels press them
Yeah.
into pills.
right.
Yeah. So that stuff is definitely made in China. And if we had
Yeah. So
stricter borders, a lot less people would
quick
die.
thing, when we were down on the border.